We're doing this one live today. We're doing this one live. I usually get this shot ready before I start, but I was starting late. What? Whoa. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Oh, then I should do this. So track. There we go. Oh, we did it. Hey, welcome y'all. Hope you're having a good day or evening or whatever's going on. Maybe you're in another dimension. Maybe you lie outside of time zones. That'd be cool. Yo, Lucas. The curse remains. I don't know how you did it. But you're on a winning streak. I don't think it's your curse. Although maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know. We had a conversation recently, and I don't know. For those of y'all who have kept up with the ongoing drama of the stream, I'm not able to see Lucas's name in the chat, neither in YouTube or in Discord. It appears as just these blocks, and I don't I don't know why. I don't know why. It's really weird. It's really bizarre to me. Um, it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen because we checked this last stream. Nobody else was having this problem except for me. So, I don't know. Either everybody in the chat is just playing a big old troll on me, which is fine. Look. Anybody who's read Trailer Park Warlock knows I love a good troll. I just find it mysterious. That's all. I just find it wildly mysterious. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that sometimes you just have to embrace the mystery. Lucas says, I won't lift the curse till I finish the drawings of TPW I have waiting on a folder. I've lost them. Oh no! Like you've lost the folder? That means I'm going to be cursed for a while. Hopefully you're able to recover them one day. By the way, I should mention, if you have not joined the Mantras Union Discord, you don't have. There's no memberships to get in on it. And the reason why I mentioned the Mantras Union Discord to anybody who's watching the stream is because you can see a lot of Lucas's fan art for Trailer Park Warlock in the Discord. And they do a lot of really good fan art. I really appreciate it. All the stuff they've done. Lucas says, yes, I lost them. Moving out is hell. Oh no. Bummer. Alright. I hate to hear it. Well, may you recover it. I'll send out my best Reiki blessings to you. To you and yours as you move, because moving is no fun. I have been very fortunate not having to do a move for at least the last 3 years. There was a good, oh god, I would say, let me actually show you what I'm working on. I always forget to do that. Oh gosh, there was a good, I would say, what was that, about between the years 2011 till 2021. 2011 to 2021, I almost moved every single year. Pretty much. and that sucked. Let me tell you. I've had a good, I guess it's been 3 years now that I haven't had to move, but I am going to be moving at the end of 2025, or not the end of 2025, but around April 2025, I'm going to have to move. I say have to. I'm going to move because it'll be much cheaper rent, as in like basically no rent. Um, it's not a very like big move. I'm like moving right down the road, but since I moved into this apartment, I have accrued kind of a lot of stuff, which is unusual for me. I don't usually do that. I'm not one for like accruing a lot of things. Lucas says, I don't think I'll find them. There's a good chance my stepfather has burned them. Oh no. I'm sorry. That's a bummer. Well, they'll always be in your heart. And hopefully, I don't know. Maybe they will reincarnate as like some other fan art. I don't know what. But yeah, like I was saying, I'm not one for like, I don't know. I don't like to like have a bunch of stuff. And a lot of this has to do with those 11 years of like moving basically every single frickin' year. Um, and then when I started to settle down into this place, I started just going like, well, I'm not going to be moving anytime soon, so like, I can buy a couple things here and there. The main thing that I've bought and the main thing that I have that I'm like I don't want to get rid of and lose are my plants. I have a small but growing army of succulents that all like take up all the window space over there. Um, Maybe one day I'll do a stream where I introduce y'all to all the plants. They all have names. It's important to name your plants if you're going to raise plants, especially succulents, because they're hard to kill. So you better get used to them. They're not going anywhere. Um, Especially, man, the succulents that I got, there's only one. There's only one that's like kind of, I don't know, they're not doing too well. But all the other ones, I got one named Wesley. Wesley is not doing well. Um, just, just not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that one's gonna pull through. But all the other ones, they're doing great. I can't. Like, I'm gonna have to beat them back with a stick at some point because they're just taking over the apartment. It feels like sometimes. But yeah, those are the plants are gonna be kind of hard to move. Even more so because like the space I'll be moving to, I don't think it's gonna have great window space. Not really. Not amazing window space. And like, I don't know, these folks, they all need a decent amount of sunlight. Except for the fern. The fern doesn't need a lot of sunlight for some reason. But everything else, like, they need good sunlight, and you don't really, the reason why I like these succulents is you don't water them a lot. Once a month, just a good little drench, and then that's it. You put them back out, and then they just keep growing. I haven't had to fertilize them or anything. They just keep growing. It kind of weirds me out. Like, I get that's what makes succulents succulents and like why people like them, but I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? Isn't that weird? I don't know. It's kind of weird. I like them. It's just weird. I've got one succulent, uh, Dominique. Like, she really is gonna take over the apartment. Like, she just keeps getting bigger and bigger and longer and longer and more voluminous and just like I'm not doing anything other than watering her, and it's just like, why are you? What's going on? Like, there's not that much dirt in this pot. You're just like, I guess you're super efficient with dirt or something. I don't know. Um, so anyway, yeah, I have plants, and then I don't know. Like, obviously, I want to hang on to my bed. The main thing right now lately where I've been kind of wondering if I'm going to get rid of them or like send them to the library or something are my books. Cuz I just have a lot of books and like I don't there's a handful of books that I will frequently reference and look back on, and they're all like these nonfiction type books or like my copy of the I Ching, like I reference that thing all the time. My copy of the Thoth Tarot. I haven't referenced it in a while, but I'm sure I'll reference it again in the future. It's come in handy. Um, Prometheus Rising, Angel Tech. Every once in a while I reference Game of Life. What other books do I have? Yeah, it's really just those books. I'll reference those a lot. Um, But then I have like a small little like Robert Anton Wilson library that I don't really, other than Prometheus Rising, I don't really look at those books again because they're not. I don't know. They're not like particularly. They're interesting, and I'm glad I bought them and read them. But at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, I'm never gonna read that book again. Like I said, like Prometheus Rising is probably the only one that I've done that with. Lucas says, it made me remember the ARPG, I think it was called Happy Farms or something like that. Wait, what reminded you of Happy Farms? Oh, like the plants? That can make sense. I've never played Happy Farms, but that sounds like an interesting concept if I understand when you say ARPG, you mean like action RPG. Like an action RPG where you like do action farming, which sounds kind of nice. I like it. If that's the case, I don't know if that's the case. And then I don't know. I have other. Oh, okay. My copy of Tao Te Ching by Bruce Francis. I'm gonna keep that because I'm probably gonna reread that at some point. Um, and then there's like I'm probably never gonna reread this again. But this is also, come on, stay on me, camera. This is also like one of the greatest manga ever, and it's kind of a rarity now. Like this printing is not really in existence of Akira. It's a lovely book to hold, and like I don't know, I'm big into this manga. I think it's like one of the best manga ever written. I'm probably gonna reread it someday. Like one day I'm gonna reread it, but not anytime soon. I've reread it. There was a while where I was like rereading it every year. It's like, come on, focus. Thank you. There was a couple of years where I would reread it every year, and then I got to a point where it's like I think I've reread this enough. So like I'm probably gonna hold on to that book. It's special to me. Same for Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind. That's one of the best manga ever. Lucas says, yes, wait, no, it was a ARG. It has a website and some videos. I hate writing while you talk. It feels rude. You can write while I talk anytime. I actually, I invite it. I invite people to write while I'm talking because it gives me something to respond to if for some reason I happen to like lose my train of thought or whatever. Like it's nice to have things to bounce off of because it leads to further conversation. John Dredd says, hey, hey, hey. Hey, John. Hope you're doing well. Hope your day is going good. But yeah, I was just discussing I was discussing with Lucas um, books I'm probably going to hold on to. So like Nausicaa's one. Okay, as far as like comic books or manga go, Nausicaa, um, Akira. I'm gonna hang on to my copy of the Inkle. That's a really good book too. Uh, I'm probably gonna hang on to all my Alan Moore books. I'm probably gonna hang on to my collection of Scott Pilgrim. And then that might be it. I have a bunch of other books that I do not really look at anymore. There's a couple of Japanese art books I might hold on to. Like I have this I don't even know why I bought this. I just thought the art was really cool. I have like an art book of like all the costume designs from a particular series of Kamen Rider, and it's all like monster designs and like it's Kamen Rider, so it's all like kind of Power Ranger ish looking designs. But it's all like these cool watercolor drawings and sketches. John Dredd says it's more the hey 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 from Fat Albert and Friends. I got you. Um, so I'm probably gonna hang on to that book. There's a Final Fantasy IX art book I'm probably gonna hang on to too because it's got some really cool stuff in it. Not the least of which are like all the Yoshitaka Amano initial concept art. Like I don't know. This might be too old school or too. This might. I don't know how many people here have played Final Fantasy IX. I enjoy it. I'm curious about playing it again in the future because it's been a long, long time. But Final Fantasy IX was one of the. It was a PlayStation era Final Fantasy game, and basically Square decided like we're gonna go back to the OG like crystals and kind of cartoony sprite-ish sort of designs, but retain the 3D polygon look. And so the character design in Final Fantasy IX is really fun and really cool. And there's a lot of really interesting ideas in that game that are not necessary. I wouldn't necessarily call them fresh, so much as I would say like they're a very cool reinterpretation of like games like Final Fantasy 5 and 6 and 4 where it's like we want to do the cool steampunk crystal magic stuff but then like update it with PlayStation 1 graphics. And the game itself was really fun. The story was really fun. There's some really good characters in that game. And anyway, that concept art book is really cool. And I love the fact that it just has all the like all the initial original sketches that Yoshitaka Amano did is part of the reason why I want to hang on to it because I love Amano's watercolor work. It's just like my initial interest in watercolors a long time ago started from my exposure to Yoshitaka Amano because like he's one of my favorite artists. Lucas says you made me remember a dark memory I thought I buried deep inside my brain. Well, that's where we put the memories, isn't it? Especially the dark ones, deep inside our brains, locked under the magical lockbox. Uh, anyway, so like that's a book I'm gonna hold on to. There's a One Piece concept art book that I'm probably gonna hang on to. Yeah, all the concept art books I'm gonna hang on to because like those I have not because of story, but because sometimes I want to like rifle through a book and just look at beautiful art. Which I think, moving forward, I'm probably gonna just do more books like that. Every once in a while, there's a comic book or a graphic novel that comes out where I'm like, oh, I gotta buy that. But like, it's been a hot minute. The last thing I read, and I'm about to praise this book, but I'm gonna say probably nobody else should read it other than like me or people who are like have a taste for a really bizarre, high concept fantasy. But Also, this book never got finished, unfortunately. This is comic called Orkstain, and it's a very, I would say, transgressive, as in, like, there's a lot of like concepts in that book that I don't think would be popular in this day and age because they're very mm, what's the word? Like, some of the concepts in there are kind of gross. So like, and violent. So it's almost like if somebody made a fantasy book out of like a like heavy metal magazine or something, and it's all orc stuff, and it's all like super gritty, grimy, violent. I liked it a lot though. I was actually really surprised by how much I like it. It's kind of like Mad Max but with orcs. I think that's the best way I would put it. And it's like biopunk. But once again, there's a lot of concepts in that book I would especially not suggest to younger readers. Anyway, Lucas says it's a video I saw when I was alarmingly young. It was about Fluttershy's. What is that word? Fluttershy's. I just see SH something. And then that stupid heart emoji thing is covering the rest of it. I wish there was. How am I supposed to read people? Like YouTube. Why would you do this to me? It's not fair. I'll finish that sentence when somebody else says something, Lucas. But it is about Fluttershy's something. It's really. I'll show you my dilemma. Shed. Oh, shed. I had a lot of other things. I had a lot of other words that were in my head when I was looking at that. I was like, that could be a lot of different things. Well, that is a place where you might put really dark stuff, is in Fluttershy Shed, I would imagine. I'm not that. I'm not that adept as a brony. Um, I've had friends who are very adept bronies, but I'm not one of them. I've had friends who have. I say friends, multiple. Like there's one who who is like. I would say. I mean, he was basically a brony general. One of the few. Like deep respect for him. He went to the fullest extent of like being a brony and like arranged a convention and all this other stuff. But that was in the long, long ago. Nowadays, things have changed. It's a whole new world with whole new generations. Lucas says she basically cut Rainbow Dash, the light blue Pegasus, in half after singing a banger. Wow. Wait, so I'm assuming this was like a fan made video kind of thing. Sounds interesting. Sounds entertaining. Sounds dark. But yeah. Were there any other books that I would hold on to? I don't think so. I think I would give all the other books to like the library or sell them on eBay or something. Because all the books that I listed earlier, those are all of my like desert island books, basically. Those are all the books that I would keep on a desert island if like I didn't have anything else. Okay, so Lucas says yes, it was part of a series. So the video that we were discussing about Rainbow Dash getting cut in half by Fluttershy. It's a violent world out there. And even more so in the land of ponies. Even more so. I forgot. There's some panels I wanted to hide. Okay. No, why am I doing that? I don't need to do that yet. Yeah, so this episode of The Legend of Redneck is very Loretta-centric that I'm working on. Also a quiet episode. Slightly quiet. Still not really sure exactly what I'm doing with Loretta's character arc. I mostly have a good idea of where it's going, but I kind of look at her as sort of a wild card in the series. So like I know emotionally where she is at, but I don't entirely know like how she fits into all of the plot exactly 100%. And I just know like she's really important to Judy's character arc. Like she's the salt to she's the chocolate. Yeah, she's the chocolate to Judy's peanut butter. I'll put it that way. I think that makes sense. Lucas says, and I thank you for that, Mr. Rainwater. We need more Loretta in our lives. I like Loretta a lot as a character. I get the sense that not all of the readers do as much. I think that as a character, she may not be to everybody's tastes. And I don't know. I make that assumption because I just don't ever really see people make that many comments about her. People talk about Judy a lot, right? Which, okay, great. I mean, I like Judy as a character a lot, but to me being the writer, right? So I'm biased, obviously. Um, I can't enjoy Judy. I personally cannot enjoy Judy without Loretta as the contrast, right? Because it is a salty, sweet relationship that they have, like a friendship that they have. Where like to me, Judy's sweetness would come off honestly like as obnoxious after a while without Loretta to temper it. And to me, like Judy is only the character that she is because she has Loretta to play off of as sort of a back and forth, like because their characters are like a back and forth conversation about like sort of an outlook on life, a back and forth conversation of like, different sorts of feelings and etc. So like, yeah, like I said, like, I think a lot of readers take Loretta for granted. Lucas says maybe they see Loretta as the typical mean girl who doesn't care about her friends. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting because like Loretta has mean girl aspects, but to me, I'm like she's not really a mean girl. Like um, she's an introvert for sure, and she's like she definitely is not big on expressing her emotions publicly, except when she is like ticked off, right? To me, like she's more of I don't know, like I'm trying to figure out what the proper words to say for her. Like to me, Loretta is like that that and I'm speaking from the perspective of a writer right now, but like Loretta is sort of that aspect of people that we oftentimes don't want to like acknowledge, right? Because we all want to be like super sociable and whatever, right? It's an extroverted world, being type A and blah blah blah, and like Loretta to me is that negative reflection of like, yeah, but that's there's a lot of that stuff that's just kind of like nonsense or BS or like to me, Loretta, what people don't might not like about Loretta is like to me, I look at it as an aspect of her authenticity in the sense of she's very honest. You know, she'll be very honest with people and about things that people don't want to be honest about. Um, but she's also kind of like I said earlier, she's kind of a wild card character too. She's a little bit chaotic. She has sort of a chaotic neutral aspect to herself that I really appreciate and enjoy, and I enjoy writing. And that sort of goes into her, kind of punky lifestyle. Um, when I lived in Portland, Oregon, there were a lot of women like Loretta, and like that's kind of where the inspiration for it comes from. There's a lot of different places that the inspiration for it comes from, but definitely a lot of people that I met in Portland were like Loretta, and in sort of dealing with that cognitive dissonance of like acknowledging how messed up the world can be while at the same time trying to figure out how to live in it and be honest about it. But like, also failing a lot and also like, sometimes being really miserable and being outwardly honest about that misery and all that stuff. Like so to me that's like Loretta, right? Whereas Judy is like Judy on the other hand is very much expressive of like my inner optimist, and also just like trying to make the best of a bad situation. And I think that's why a lot of people like Judy, which is why I also like Judy, is like that's sort of the core of her character, right? Of like, yeah, the situation's not great, but what else can you do? And so I'll just try and make the best of it. And then like, you know, I really enjoy the aspect of her arc of like her discovering, or not really discovering, but refining her inner baker and and all that stuff. And I haven't quite like Loretta's gonna go through something sort of similar at some point. I don't really know what that's gonna look like. Um, and I'm still working that part out, which is why I do have these episodes that are just like really centered around Loretta very specifically because I want her to have her own place in this story. And like I said, I don't fully 100% know everywhere where that place is going to be. She's kind of in the background a lot, and that's kind of part of her character in a lot of ways. And she may always be that way to some extent. But there is a point in the story where I really feel like she is going to shine in a big way. I just don't know exactly where that's going to be yet. I haven't figured that part out. But in the meantime, to me, like Loretta kind of acts as in a lot of ways, in my mind, Loretta is sort of like an every, like where Jake Baker was kind of an everyman in Trailer Park Warlock, Loretta to me is sort of like the every girl, or every person basically. Because like Jake being the everyman in Trailer Park Warlock just really means just like the every person. So like sort of like how many people would feel in this situation. That's kind of what she represents in the story to me. So anyway, that's why like all of her story arcs so far have to do with like her co-housing situation, her dating life, her like job security issues, all that stuff. Like that is to me like why she's written the way that she's written. And yeah, that's Loretta. So anyway, like I said, just to reiterate, like I don't think Judy can be properly appreciated without Loretta, because like I said, without her, I just think Judy would be a boring character, to be quite frank. Um, and that's the kind of stuff I think about as a writer. The kind of stuff you have to think about as a writer, because like maybe you do want to have. It's very difficult to come up with a character personality, and it can be done, right? It can be done where that character on their own, regardless of their other relationships, is interesting. Like, yeah, that's the pull of a character like Jake Baker. Like, he's interesting on his own, but you don't come up with characters like that all the time. Like, that's hard to do, right? And honestly, like he becomes a more interesting character as he plays off of, Darla and Bev and Herman and all these other characters that arise in the story of Trailer Park Warlock. Like I really feel like Jake as a character didn't really get fleshed out until there was a proper fleshing out of his relationship with Darla and like Darla as a character, and like I kind of look back and go like, I wish I could have spent a little more time fleshing out Darla more as a character, because I really liked her character a lot. And just because of my, just because I couldn't, like there was a point where it was like, oh, I can't do any more episodes. It was just like, okay, this is as much as I can do with her storyline. And also I should say, like, I kind of I don't know. Here's the other issue with Trailer Park Warlock is like I just like kept making other characters that I really was interested in and liked, and that story was a smorgasbord of like, oh my god, I love this character. Oh my god, I love this character too. It's that can be an issue, you know. That can be a real issue. But that's why in Legend of Redneck, like the reason why I want to write the story the way that I have is I really wanted to see if I could write a story where it wasn't too expansive. Like as much as I enjoyed Trailer Park Warlock for its expansiveness, there was a point where it was like this could go on forever, right? And I am, as I've gotten older, I've gotten to this point where it's like, you know what, stories need to be written to to a stories need to be written in a way where they will eventually end. And the reason why I think that is because to me, in order for the theme of a story, in order for the characters' story arcs to actually really resolve and be fully realized, requires that you come to a point where you say that this is end of the line. Like this is the point where we say we don't go in this direction anymore, and you allow the audience to like really seep in that reality and go like, okay, that's what this story was about. Like it's an issue that I see happening. I mean, it's an issue that I saw happening with Dragon Ball Z. It's an issue that I see happening with like One Piece, where it's just like, okay, this will go on forever, and like, yeah, I guess the characters will keep evolving and their storylines will keep evolving, but like, what is the story about now? Um, and I think the issue with that is that at some point in the future, I don't know when, you're going to come to a point where the storyline of One Piece is no longer going to resonate with people because they no longer know why they're reading this adventure story. Because if Eiichiro Oda keeps going in the trajectory that he's going, but maybe he has an end in sight, I don't know. But if he keeps going in the trajectory that he's going, it's just going to be like, oh, we've got a new destination. Now we're pirates in space, and then everything's opened up, and blah blah blah. And it's just like you can only do that for so long before an audience will just go like, I mean that's new and cool or whatever, but like I think I just need a totally new story now. And you know, I think there's something kind of sad about that a little bit because I don't know if hopefully it doesn't happen, but like I just think about Kentaro Miura, who was the author for Berserk, right? And Berserk was this story that so many people loved and like admired and just eagerly awaiting for chapters month after month. And maybe they get a few chapters a year, but like in the back of their minds, they're just like, yes, this story one day it's gonna end and it's gonna be really epic and it's gonna be a beautiful ending. And Kentaro Miura had an ending and like he had an ending in mind for Berserk, but his scope for that story was so big and epic that it outlived him. And I mean, I don't know why like Miura passed. It seemed to me like he passed kind of early, which is sadly all too common a reality for a lot of comic artists and cartoonists. But like, um, you know, he passed earlier than I think he certainly expected, than anybody expected, and Berserk remains unfinished. And maybe somebody has picked it up and is taking it on to keep going forward. But like, Kentaro Miura is not going to live to see what his finished work looks like. And that kind of thing kind of haunts me a little bit. He's not the only artist that has haunted me in that way. Like Samu Tezuka, another manga artist who had this incredibly ambitious project. Ooh, and I probably will hang on to those books now that I mention them, called the Phoenix books. And the Phoenix books, like when Tezuka originally formulated them, they were going to be 13 books, or 12 or 13 books. And each book takes place at different periods of time in this sort of repeating cycle, and all involve characters that are kind of reincarnating into these historic cycles. And there's a really great, ambitious story. And like, some of the books are better than others, but there's some really good books. And then there's some books that are like, it's okay. But the overall cohesive aspect of the story is just, I've never quite seen anybody in comics do something like that. And sadly, like, it remains unfinished. Like, he never was able to finish the last book because he passed shortly. I don't know, he passed while working on it, basically. Rainbow Cat says, when someone dies, there's always something important that they leave behind unfinished. It's just some projects are way more public than others. It's always a huge loss. Yeah. And so, like, that to me is why I am now, when I write stories, like Trailer Park Warlock went on for such a long time that I'm glad that I did finish it when I did. And so that I'm taking that forward into all my other projects where it's like, I want to make this a project that's finishable. Maybe it's not Maybe it's not a super short story, but it's going to be a shorter story. And and honestly, another aspect that I think about too as a writer, and this may not be true. I think I'm speculating a little too much when I talk about this subject, but I've talked about it a lot recently, which is that I feel like, oh, I should save, by the way. I feel like sometimes it seems like reader attention span has deteriorated some just due to the nature of media today. Like it's just harder to hold somebody's attention reading something. And this may not be true, but it seems true-ish. Like it seems like there's only so much time that a person can spend reading something, but I may be incorrect about that, and I hope I am. It's just like, I don't know. It's something that you have to pay attention to if you want to stay. If you want, how should I put this? If you want to be accessible to your audience and remain accessible to your audience at a certain, you have to like maintain a certain kind of observation and awareness of where your audience is. Because if they are in a space where it's just like, well, I just don't really, it's like, oh, sorry, I don't have the time to pour into like your 10,000 page super epic graphic novel. It's like, well, okay, then maybe this isn't the age to write a 10,000 page super epic graphic novel, right? Maybe those days are behind us, at least for the next, decade or whatever. I know for myself, if I just being honest with myself as a reader, I definitely notice that my own time that I can commit to reading is certainly less than it was when I was younger. Like I probably commit at best 45 minutes to an hour of reading, and it's not every day. It's like a couple of times a week, right? Like there's a couple evenings a week where I'm like, oh, I'm going to read tonight before I go to bed. And so 45 minutes to an hour is really not that long of a time compared to in yesteryears where it was like, that would be more 2 to 3 hours. Maybe not that much. I don't know though. I do remember having some reading sessions where I was like, I went a good 2 to 3 hours at least just reading. I don't really do that anymore. And maybe that's just like an age thing, right? Like it's easy to read 2 to 3 hours when you're younger because when you're younger you have a little bit more time. You're not like, if you're not working a job and like you're going to school, so like you have a lot of off time to either spend playing video games, reading, doing whatever you're doing. And that's another thing that I think about and am mindful of when I'm writing. And so I have to fix something here in a second. Because when hold on, give me a moment to think about what I'm about to say. Because I've lost the thought. I don't remember what I was talking about. So yeah, like, like, once again, I've talked about this a lot before as well. When I started writing on not Trailer Park Warlock, when I started writing The Legend of Redneck, what I started thinking about was there were two different things that I was considering in my mind. One, my own energy and capacity to write and draw, like what did I have time for? And then also what did my audience have time for? Because I think that Trailer Park Warlock might have pushed the audience a little bit too hard on Trailer Park Warlock a bit. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like take a step back a little bit and do something that's a little more accessible, a little easier to read in many different ways, and also a little easier for me to write and draw. And so, the pacing for Trailer Park or not, gosh dog it, the pacing for Legend of Redneck is a little brisker, a little more I don't know, that is that the right word? It's a little easier, It's about 12 panels per episode. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. I'm having a hard time with this thumb. I think I messed something up. The story is not quite as lore heavy. I mean, it's not nearly as lore heavy at all. It's a little more. It's more character focused. I mean, there's certainly plot and whatnot, but it's more character focused. And one of the big jumping off points for writing Legend of Redneck was my own experience reading like American comic strips. And so while it definitely isn't anything like a lot of the comic strips I read as a youth, it certainly has the pacing of one, and it has the more character focused humor that made comic strips what they were back in the day. And it's been an interesting writing experience. I don't know. I don't think the next thing I write after this is going to do quite the same thing. Like, I don't know. I might retain the same pace, but I might change some things. I don't know. I haven't figured that one out. I've really liked the writing pace for this story, though. It's very doable for me right now, and like allows me to do like side hustle stuff, so I can make some money here and there, um, and just allows me to sort of make it at a more relaxed pace. Where Trailer Park Warlock was just like this is at such a ridiculous pace making that story. That being said, I wouldn't mind making another story that was closer to Trailer Park Warlock's pace, although not the exact same pace. Like I think something closer to like 24 panels per episode would be good. John Dredd says, I thought TPW was perfect. It's because it was so esoteric and worldly while having plenty of humor and art bellish. It's a gold mine. I do love it. It is definitely of my. I only have art, two completed works so far, but of the two, it's certainly my favorite. But yeah, those are just the thoughts I think when I think about what would I do after Legend of Redneck, and that's quite a ways from now, by the way. Um, quite a ways, because this story still has a good year to go, I think, at least. Loretta feeling sad, dipping French fries. I swear there was something that happened today that I wanted to talk about and I forgot. And I forgot because I took a nap, which I needed. I was kind of tired. I uh I went to bed pretty late last night because I ended up like reading ended up reading this book called Angel Tech, and I was reading this section about astrology, and I thought it was interesting. I liked what Angel Tech had to say in regards to sort of some of the ideas in astrology. The writer, Antero Alley. Oh, what is. I'll get back to what I was saying. John Durrett says, really depends on the market or audience that you want to target or write for. Yeah, and I definitely want to, sort of going back to what you were talking about earlier, or what we were talking about earlier, that's kind of a moving target, too. Because the audience that started reading Trailer Park Warlock, right, if they're still the audience for whatever I write afterward, after Legend of Redneck or whatever, they're going to be older. So things are going to change. Like, their attention span may be in a different place. Their attitudes about things may be in a different place. Um, that's why I say it's kind of a moving target sometimes. And it's very difficult to predict what your audience is going to want, right? It's kind of a crapshoot, really. Like, you just kind of make the thing, and then if people like it, they like it. And you certainly build off of what worked previously, but from a certain perspective, you have to like be willing to also take some risks and go like, okay, I don't know if this story is going to work, but this is what my intuition tells me is the story I need to tell right now. And so that has generally been my attitude when writing, is to just go with my intuition, go with the things that I know that I like, and then also like work off of what I also see sort of as the long form trend that is taking place in the larger society. Something that you can never really fully predict, but you can kind of see things here and there where you go, oh, okay, there's a lot of like stuff from the 90s that people still really like and is sort of like people are feeling nostalgic for, or like um you know there's a lot of like midnight radio type stuff that I see a lot of people are really into, and there's certainly a place for that kind of humor, um or like humor about the South, or like I'm trying to think right now. I'm trying to think of like what are those points that inspired me in Legend of Redneck, and it's like a lot of, and it's the same. It applies equally to Trailer Park Warlock, but a lot of like working class type stuff, working class situations, etc. Like those are all sort of jumping off points for saying like, okay, this is where we use as inspiration points for the story. Um, and I recognize that we are on the YouTube 7-second delay, so I'm sorry if we don't always 100% match up in text to voice. John Durrett says, true, and some themes are also timeless, like Calvin and Hobbes. That's true. Calvin and Hobbes, one of the greats. One of the greats. That's a comic strip series that I would recommend to anybody because it's just a lot of fun, very thoughtful, poignant, beautifully illustrated. Bill Watterson's like one of the best comic strip illustrators ever. One of the goats. And just like a fabulous writer and just super creative. But yeah, going back to sort of what we were talking about, it really is. I mean, the other thing too, Like if I really wanted to make some money, right? If I like really wanted to make some money in comics right now, and I don't know actually if it would really make me money. Uh, if I really wanted to get like another Webtoon original contract, I'll put it that way. Like what I would do, I would not be doing this, right? I would not be doing this because this isn't what Webtoon wants right now. What Webtoon wants is they want anime pretty boys and another dating romance drama thing, or like some kind of dystopian sci-fi dating romance drama thing, or some kind of fantasy dystopia dating romance drama thing. Like that's what they want, and I look at that and I go like, well, that's. I look at that, and to me, I say that is a glut. That is a glutted market. You have overextended the supply in that market of those particular genres. And so to me, I go, okay, I need to like. It's important for me to understand and look at sort of like what's popular with the reading demographic, but then go, askew of that and find areas that have not been explored as intently, and have stories that are more unique, not just relative to Webtoon, but unique relative to like anything that I've read, right? You hear people say this all the time, and I think that this is really good advice, but like, write the story or make the art that you want to see exist, because that's going to likely be the core of your original voice, because you're going to have ideas of things like, well, I've never seen this, like I never saw a story like this, and I want to make it happen. So like that is for me. Like I've seen a lot of, and I've read and I've seen a lot of parody shows. I've read a lot of parody stories, but I've never seen one that like was also its own story in itself, and like paid a lot of precious attention to the characters. And maybe I'm going off in a weird direction, but to me, like I think that there are people who are already really good at doing, like way better than me at doing like humor comics or humor stories that are like, beat after beat after beat of comedy. And while I can do that to some extent, I think where my strengths lie is having humor, but then also having like having good character moments. Like that's kind of where my focus has been going as I've been getting older, is like just really trying to focus on having good character moments and having unique and interesting character arcs, right? Like that to me is like where I think I don't know, but I think that my strengths as a writer lie, and like maybe also in having like interesting themes. I don't know about that last part, but like I think so. And that's just something that happens as you gain more confidence as an artist, as you start to go, okay, like I know I'm pretty good at this thing. So I'll make sure that I keep getting better at this thing, but then also find areas where I'm not as confident and like try and improve on those areas as well. So like kind of going back to where I started on this conversation, uh, I recognized that I had gained some experience points in writing characters with Trailer Park Warlock, and then I thought to myself, okay, well, what if I did a story where I really honed in on that and just really focus mostly on the characters, and like really really put to the side like the big high concept fantasy stuff, which I mean honestly, like To be totally honest, I kind of got out of my system to a certain extent with Trailer Park Warlock. Not to say that I don't have other ideas that I might want to work with in the future, but like, um, I really wanted to take a break from the heavy philosophical stuff. I wanted to take a break from like the world building stuff. Like, I just really wanted to take a break from all that because it was so, there's just a lot to balance. There's a lot to juggle. And I was like, okay, let's just do a story where we just focus on the characters mostly. And there's, I could do some world building here and there. I can do some fantasy stuff here and there, but it's not like the main focus of the story. It's not like what we're here for as much. And so that's where a lot of the Legend of Redneck's vibe comes from. And who knows if that's been a good idea. I feel like it's been a good idea, but I definitely would also say it's also very different. That kind of stuff is not for me to decide. That's for the audience to decide, and they'll let me know. And they have let me know. So, I'm going to do something real quick here. All right. And then this panel. Loretta given the stink eye. Who is Loretta given the stink eye to? Only I know. Oh. I'm about to go do some board games this evening. Just get out of the house for a bit. And go brave the brutal Baton Rouge traffic in this brutal summer heat. Lee. Can't wait for summer to be over. I hate to say that because the summer months can actually be really nice, but it's so hot in Louisiana. It just gets so brutally hot. All right. Okie dokie. That's done. I'm going to color these pages tomorrow. I'm going to do something real quick. It's a Legend of Redneck. Webtoon. Oh yeah, I can do that. All right. John Durrett says, speaking of board games, we have not played the online games in some time. Yeah, I mean, I really haven't been available, to be totally honest. Although I'm sure that there are people in the Discord who would love to play. But I would like if I could only do like sporadically taking turn type stuff right now. I've been so busy with all kinds of other things lately, especially with my meditation groups and like Tai Chi. But I just really haven't had a lot of time to like do a lot of online congregating, which is why I try and talk on the Discord when I can. But I've been pretty busy. I for better or worse, I've been pretty busy. But I was gonna do something real quick. Eternal gratitude goes to Troy Morris and Paul Rainwater. These, by the way, I'm just like announcing to y'all all these awesome Patreon people. Special thanks to Pharmacist Judge, Leo Empire, Dark Link, GFY, Sudi Shearwater, Danielle Rainwater, Matt Walters, John Durrett, and cult member B. If you want to subscribe to my Patreon, the link is in the description for this video. And on my Patreon, you can read advanced episodes of The Legend of Redneck before they get released on Webtoon, as well as get credit, right? Have credit featured on streams, on episodes that I self-publish. And you'll have my eternal gratitude. And anyway, I think I'm going to call it for today and get ready to go to this board gaming group and just get out of the house for a little bit. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all hanging out. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. And yeah, hope it goes well. And we'll talk again soon, all right? Bye.